You is.
Let's do it.
You ready? All righty. So at this time, we'll call the High Spring Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order February the 2nd, 2017 at 6:31. Please stand for the invocation by Mr. James and following the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everyone. Dear Lord, we're gathered here once more and again to take care of the business of the city High Springs. And Lord, you have led us right down the narrow path in a good way so far. And we ask that you continue to do so. Continue to reach out and bless us so that we can understand and do what needs to be done. We ask that you continue to allow us to work together. Continue to allow us to get along with each other while we're doing what needs to be done. These things we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chair Williams?
Here.
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 I'm here.
James?
Is there too many J's? Is that
All right, thank you, ma'am. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve of December the 8th, 2016
I'll
meeting.
make a motion that the minutes from December 8th meeting be approved as printed.
Second.
Got a second? Any other questions or comments? And then all in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to business items. Number 1, Economics, Business and Development Workshop Overview. Yes.
Good evening. On the 19th, we held an economic and business development workshop, and thank you for those of you that attended. I think it was a great meeting. We had a pretty good turnout, mostly CRA businesses. It was great for them to be able to just kind of informally talk about their concerns and get some of their questions answered. We also had the representative from the Gainesville Area Chamber of Commerce who talked about different things that the area is doing, the region, and not just High Springs by itself. And we also had a representative from SCORE who talked about the different classes that are offered and the services, and he held a class on Monday, and there were 12 businesses that came for that class, which is very good turnout. We actually had to put out another table and chairs. So that's usually he has about 5. This month we changed it to the evening to accommodate more businesses, and I think it really worked.
Okay, any questions, comments? Thank you. It was a very good meeting. I attended. I was impressed. We had about, 15 people there?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, good turnout. Okay. Anyone from the audience? You have a question?
No, I was just, Jenny, can you just roll so I can see the agenda, please?
You read slow, but not that slow.
Okay. Review and discuss the old school sign.
All right, so what you have in front of you is a renditioning of the old school sign that I am proposing. The bottom ones are not to scale, but we wanted to make them big enough so you could see. As you can see, it's very similar to the James Paul Park sign that we currently have. We tried to keep it as similar as possible. That sign was hand-painted by the artist, so there is no way that we can completely duplicate it, but we wanted to keep it as close as we can. The colors will match exactly. They don't in the picture, but that's a printing a printing error. The sign itself, it will be 7 by 4, so 7 feet by 4 feet, and it'll be made out of a composite. A urethane composite is what I'm leaning towards, just because it looks like wood, but it won't rot like the wood, and we won't have to, paint it. It'll actually be the colors that we put on there. The cost is between $1,000 and $1,500, depending on which company we end up going with, and that includes installation. And so the signs underneath will be much smaller, and they will hang from chains. And the open sign will only be hung when the museum is open. But I think this will do a lot to get people to see it.
Really? I had to. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have the open sign there when we're closed.
No, it's not going to be on during the week. Just when the museum is open, Otherwise, they'll know the community redevelopment agency's open. But
You're good.
yeah.
So in other words, you want people to not come talk to you. You're just going to put it when the museum's open when you're not around.
Exactly. The location of this it'll be near where the mailbox is now at the old school. So there's the police station parking lot. It'll be between that parking lot and the parking lot that's used by the old school. So people will be able to see it from the road there. Because right now people have a hard time finding that location. So I think this will do a lot. We will put in some lighting, some uplighting, so that at night people will be able to see the sign as well.
Is there, and that lighting you're putting out there, is that included in the $1,000 to $1,500?
There's already electrical out there. It's right near where there's already a lamp post, so it won't be much more to add it.
Is there money in the budget? Was this budgeted?
Yes, this was a budgeted item. We budgeted $2,000 for this year.
So we're under budget.
We are.
So we got extra money.
Pay for the lighting, right? We can get fancy lighting.
$500 lights.
Good idea.
So there's no way possible to maybe put a sign there with the actual hours of the museum? Because the reason I say that is a lot of people will walk to the door Monday through Friday, and then on time where they're going to see that it's not open when they get to the door, and then they see, don't y'all have a sign on the door with the hours on it?
Yes, and the reason we did
Do you want to come up, Diane?
we're contemplating possibly closing one day on the weekend and being open a day during the week, because we have found that there are people coming during the week to see if we're open, and we're not, because normally we're open Saturday and Sunday. So we want to, and that was the issue that we discussed with Amanda. If we put the hours on there right now and we change our days, then we have a problem doing that. We'd have to do another sign. So, any suggestions? And the reason with not doing the closed was if we put the closed sign up for us, then they would think that she is not there.
She's never there anyway.
Wrong. She's there all the time. I know, because I'm there too. So if there's any ideas or suggestions that, and something we thought of, Amanda, instead of doing historical museum, maybe museum, so that's going to give us, I don't know what space we're looking at as far as spreading those words out. Will we be able to maybe make it a little longer, a little higher, instead of using 2 words?
I can check with the designer.
So that's
and tell you.
right.
I'm not sure how much larger it would be, though, because it can only be so high.
Right.
I'll talk to the designer.
See, yeah. So as far, yes, we do have a sign on the door that has our hours, which says Saturday 10 to 4, Sunday 1 to 4. But we've toyed with the idea of doing a day during the week to see how that would work. Because we've been in there working on the diorama, and we've had people come in. We don't turn them away. We have them come in, we give them a tour while they're there. So.
I'd say just do it open, because if they decide to change the day, or say a holiday falls on a Saturday and everybody's gonna be out of town, and the hours are posted out there, I think that'd be more confusing than just having open when somebody's there.
And that's what we did this last year for the holidays. We had something put in the Alachua paper in the community section that gave our hours for the holiday and when we were reopening again, so the community would know. Plus, we put something on the sign on the door also. So,
You guys have a website yet?
for that museum, hsmuseumexpress@gmail.com. That's our email address.
Well, do you have a web page?
Yes, we do.
So it has the
Yes, we
hours
do,
on there?
and we have a Facebook page also.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you guys agree with this, I'd like your permission to get this sign and have it installed. I'd also like that going forward, as we replace the other signs, that we would keep this same basic shape so that there's a uniform sign. So the visitor center sign, if we decided to replace it, it would go in with something that was very similar to this. So it's uniform across the city.
If nobody has any questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve the sign, authorize the purchase.
I'm good with you. I'll second it. Go. I'm just thinking on the open thing. I understand what she's saying, but I'm just trying to think of an alternative. That's all, and I apologize.
Yes.
If we do the sign that has the hours Saturday and Sunday, what would be the cost if we took that sign down when we change our days just to put up a different sign?
And I'd have to get that. Right now I have it all combined in the quote, so I'd have to get this separated out.
And then we can just pay for the other sign if we do that way. If we do Saturday and Sunday with our hours now, and then when we do change, if we do change to a day, then just make the open sign. So you have an option to hang one or the other.
I'd say just do the open sign, because they're already talking about changing days.
Right.
In the future, they've set the time and date, and we're going to change it.
Well, we can come back.
Later on.
We can readdress it if there's another sign at the point if we need to do that. We can get this here, and then if it comes in, we can readdress it.
Correct. Yeah, and that was a thought with the little signs, is that same way with the community redevelopment agency. If down the road we decide to move it to a different building, it's be real simple. We just take that sign off,
Right.
and
Right.
this gives flexibility.
Okay.
Or if we got rid of the director, didn't care anymore. Oh, sorry.
First and a second. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on it? Anyone from the audience? Okay, all in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Can I get a clarification on what you said that address was, please? HS Museum Express?
hsmuseumexpress@gmail.com.
Got you.
That is our
Email.
I got you.
And the .org is the hsmuseum.org is the website. And like I said, we have a Facebook page also. I looked to see if I had one of our business cards with us, and I felt like I ran out. But I can get one to you.
Okay.
Okay, line item number 3, review and discuss downtown banners.
All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on this before we get started. About a year and a half ago, right after we had our video done, the company approached the city and presented this banner idea, and I met with Mr. Booth. Mr. Booth thought it was a good idea, but he thought that the CRA should handle it, so he handed it over to the CRA to manage it. And what it is a replacement of the current banners that we have. And this right here is just my rendition. No, we're not getting an IKEA, but this is the scale. And I will be working with a designer. Again, this is just what I came up with. But it would be a water background of our one of our springs or several of our springs, and it would say, welcome to High Springs, and it would have our website on there as well. And then the bottom third, a business can sponsor the banner, and in exchange for sponsoring the banner, they get their logo put on. So this does not cost the city anything or the CRA anything. The company would handle everything, all the marketing of it, all the sponsorships. We would just do the design, and when we get the banners, put them up, but they would maintain them also. So if one of them rips or they all blow down in a hurricane, they would replace them for 3 years.
So say if we only had 2 businesses interested in it, where would we go?
So they guaranteed, I think it's 25. They guaranteed 25. So if only 2 businesses sponsor, what happens is we get all the banner. So we would design the entire banner for all those but the 2 that had the sponsorships.
How many do we have?
We have 15 as of right now.
15, regardless, even if they, however many businesses they get, we have enough to fill all the spots.
Correct.
Now, is that some of these businesses that we had from the meeting the other night?
No, these are not. These are other ones. He sent me a list on, let me see what date. I didn't write down the date, but I believe it was January 16th or 17th. He sent me the list, and none of the people that were on that list were at our meeting. So these are other businesses that he had already signed up.
Okay.
Oh, so he's already got businesses signed up?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
Who are they?
Do you want me to put them
I
up on
know
the screen?
at that meeting, some of those had signed up too, but they was a little bit disgruntled.
Right, and I don't have any of those on here.
You don't have any of those?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
I think those folks, they didn't want it.
Jenny, do you have your thing?
Yeah, that's what I wanted
Got your
to find
projector working?
out. Did they come to the real, to pull out of it?
Will they fit on our existing,
Yes.
so we don't have to do any money, we don't have to do anything other than
No.
put them up?
Yes. And we also can put up our own banners during Christmas time.
Or whenever,
Yeah, holiday season.
whatever.
So what's the life?
But we don't really have any others besides that.
What's the life on one of these signs?
We have, I think, 4 left of 4th of July and maybe 6 of Pioneer
Can you
Day.
do something?
Wasn't we gonna buy some for my birthday this year?
Focus it.
That,
I think it's a lighting issue.
Okay, see, some of those aren't right, because I know High Spring Chamber of Commerce is number 2, and I know they pulled out.
Yes, I think they're the only ones that I saw on there.
That's better, that was a little better. Okay.
And Auntie Center was at the meeting, but I talked to him afterwards, and she said she was happy with it still. So I know she didn't cancel.
Okay.
so basically it's local businesses.
Yes, they're all local.
How many poles we have down? How many poles?
We have 44.
Mhm.
Ross Ambrose. All of you probably received an email from me that had some comments about this to your High Springs address. When the mainstream program existed, I chaired the committee that helped create the set of banners that just came down. Those banners were guaranteed for 3 years and anticipated to last for 5. They were up for 9. So they were worn out. They needed to be replaced, and they were looking pretty shabby. The original idea when those were created, we used a lot of guidance that had been given to communities that had done similar programs. And one of the things that was really clearly established was in a small community like ours, using the banners to advertise or emphasize a specific business was a missed opportunity to do community branding, where the focus is very commercial. And when you have that kind of, whether you call it sponsorship or advertising or whatever, it impacts the visual image that you're trying to create in a very small space. So that's why the first family of banners was created. The idea was that there were actually going to be up to 4 families of banners created. We never got past the first set because the Main Street program ended. So looking at this program, a good cloth banner, double-side printed with marine grade materials, is about $110. So for instance, I asked the company that did the banners before what the cost would be today, and including shipping, it's just under $5,500 to redo all the banners that we just had. If you're looking at selling or sponsorship of a banner at $800 a banner, and let's assume their cost is $100 a banner, that's $700 in profit that's leaving the community that this city isn't getting any piece of. So I have concerns, especially since the item right before this was economic development, that the CRA should be really concerned with the kind of branding and message and image of our downtown area, and be very careful about the images that go up and the information that's contained on them, which kind of leads to my second point. Okay, it's nice to say High Springs, but the city website, unless the commission is going to allocate some funds to really make our website something that's pretty stellar, it's not maintained on a regular basis. You bring something up to city staff and say, hey, this isn't right, they get it fixed. But there's no one out there to say, hey, let's do this. Let's help the person that's looking to come to the city. Let's make sure we've got information about, opening and establishing businesses. That's nobody's doing that. That's not in the budget. So we're going to use this real estate to put the city name up, the city website, and replace some dilapidated banners. I think even if it started a year and a half ago, this whole process my business was approached about purchasing sponsorship, and he couldn't even tell me what the images were going to be. I don't even know are they double-sided, what they're proposing, which is great. If they're vinyl, odds are the sun won't shine through them, so you won't, because it would look funny if the sun shines through the material. But there are a lot of nuances. And in the email, my also concern is there's no policy. One of the things that was recommended years ago, the city of High Springs should have a banner policy. And the commission elected not to do it, but moved that banners could only go up if it was approved by the Main Street program. Well, the Main Street program doesn't exist. The city doesn't have a banner policy. If you've entered into this agreement that this company is able to sell a sponsorship at any time during the 36 months, the city isn't going to be able to pick and choose which businesses can buy a space on one of the poles. And I think the CRA should be really concerned about that. Right now, everyone looks at the list and goes, oh, okay. But what if Cafe Risque wants to be on the banner before and after First Baptist Church? Again, the visual imagery and the photo ops that might become possible in a state that just legalized medical marijuana, and given our name as High Springs. So, you want to be really careful, and I don't know that all these things have been thought out. And so if the goal is just to put some banners up, okay, but you're going to be making a commitment for 36 months. and the review of the artwork and the formatting and the fonts and everything hasn't been done. I know it'll be approved, it's in process, but having gone through this and come up with a set of banners that was pretty well received by the community, the way this process is going forward, I really think you should consider some of the concerns before you get into something you're going to have to live with for 36 months. So, and if you've got any questions about what we did before or anything else, be happy to answer them, but I'm concerned. Thanks.
Do we have any control over who can advertise on?
It would be my recommendation that you don't have control over who advertises on them. You are a government entity, and you cannot be picking and choosing between businesses, especially based on the content of their message.
What he said, Cafe Risque decided they wanted to get the rocks off and get a banner. Is there anything to stop it?
No. Now, you can have standards and say that it has to be family friendly. You can't have nude images. You can't have inappropriate language. You can have standards like that, but it would not be my recommendation that you be the arbiters of which business is good enough to go on your signs or which businesses are inappropriate.
Would make it a requirement you have to be in the city of High Springs?
I can research that. But it would probably be okay if you were setting parameters like that, but not, we don't approve of that business, we approve of this business. Because you, as he mentioned, saying he would not want to see a medical marijuana dispensary. Well, you very well may have a marijuana medical dispensary at some point that could be a city business. And it would not be my recommendation that this commission say that that is not okay, but the bank is, or the tattoo parlor is, or just make that kind of a content-based decision.
I'd like to see at least us pursue local. I mean, to keep it, because it is the CRA. It doesn't make much sense to advertise. I mean, I'm just talking on the deal, advertise for a business that's not within the CRA, within the business area. Doesn't make much sense. Granted, you look at all of them up here, and they are, and so forth, and you're good, but...
Well, like Jenny Springs would be.
Yeah.
But yet, that's very much part of the community. So again, you get into these murky areas.
and that's a good point, Russ.
Yeah.
I'd like to at least have, I don't know how we go about it, some conversations with company and type of thing to express our concerns. We're not a major metropolitan area but we're a small, local, small town. I think it is important that you guys get to, do you guys get final approval type of thing on the sign? Does it go by you and you get to say, okay, that font's, do you have any
Yes.
say so?
Actually, I'm going to let you guys pick the signs. We are going to be designing probably 8, and then I will bring them back to this board, and hopefully you guys will like at least a couple of them. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board and start all over.
You're talking 8 of those?
8 different banners. Styles.
Something besides IKEA.
Right. That was just an
And
example.
then every sign would be off of that, would be similar.
Right.
We would pick the format.
Right. So I would I would say don't do more than 4 different, just because we don't want them to be completely different. But yes, I'd bring them back to you. You guys would pick which ones you liked, and we would go from there.
How about 5 different? We just take a picture of each commission.
That might be too easy a target.
Can we, I don't know what the others are. Can we have the conversation with the guy and express our desire to make sure that we're doing it to keep them within the business area? I know the CRA, but it doesn't do as much good to have somebody from Gainesville or Lake City. That's not doing anything. It just seems like that would be a logical conversation to have.
Absolutely.
I don't know, and I'd like to know, I mean, what the terms of the contract are, because if something starts to happen, we don't like it. I mean, is there an opt-out type of thing? Is there some way to get out of this if it doesn't go?
Yeah, but at our next CRA meeting, we'll have a copy of the contract in the
Okay.
packet, and we can have a more thorough discussion
Okay,
of
and that
the
would
terms
be
of
good,
that.
thank you. Okay.
So,
Amanda, could next CRA meeting, when we discuss this again, could you also maybe get some quotes from different companies of us just
Sure.
buying some outright? That way we have total control over it and not have to worry about
You
it.
go with stock images, you can go down anywhere from as low as $48 a banner. The custom stuff is $110. I'm just letting you know that that's the current market range for these type of things.
Just give us some ideas from companies, 2 or 3 different companies. That's all.
And I'll just add, when the salesperson
Come
talked
to
to
it,
me,
Mike.
when the salesperson came to my office,
He let me know his intention was the region, and he made a case for, because I had part of this conversation, getting Shands and Northwest Regional Hospital and everybody to want to advertise because we're their clients. And the same thing for car dealerships in Lake City. People in High Springs shop in Lake City at car dealerships. And so that was his intention, and what the contract allows or whatever, I don't know, but that's personally what he told me. His vision was to sell to people who want to speak to High Springs.
He'll sell it, anybody will buy it, he makes more money out of it.
exactly. Each one he sells, he gets a piece of it.
You'll bring the contract and some stuff, and let's see what options we have. I mean, even if we chose not to do it, I mean, I don't know. I would like to know if we wanted to opt out. If we as a band said, no, we're not doing this. We vote on it, we're not doing it. Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll prepare an
Yes.
agenda item for the next
Yeah,
meeting.
I'm just saying, if you could, just so we would have our options.
And also, I already mentioned you should have some kind of standards. True. Some stuff you just don't want on the signs. I heard you say something about you can have standards of no.
Right, yeah, you wouldn't want profanity
Yeah.
you wouldn't want profanity on your signs. You wouldn't want things that wouldn't make downtown High Springs a family-friendly
Right.
community. And you can certainly have standards like that without having blanket rules about
Right,
certain types of businesses.
okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have that at the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we just can't limit the business just to the CRA district. In that case, we wouldn't have,
We wouldn't have enough.
We wouldn't have enough. So it's gonna have to be
Okay.
a broader.
Are all the polls we're talking about doing in the CRA district?
Yes, they are. And I brought a map if you guys would like to see, but they are all on Main Street and First here, and there's a couple on Railroad. But yeah, they're all located in the CRA district.
Anything else? That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
You'll bring it to the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, grant updates.
All right. We have not had any completions during this last month and a half that we haven't had a meeting, but we did have one withdrawal, and that was Constance Hughes. They just didn't have the funds to match it and the time to do it, so they decided to withdraw their application and their grant. Well, not their application, but their grant, and so those funds will just go back into the grant funds. Our next grant cycle will be in April, and I'm working with several businesses now to help them get their application in and get it correct. Everything else is going well. We still have 4 outstanding residential facade grants that are going. They're making good progress. One is near completion. It should be early next week that he's completed, and that is what's his name? Jerry Gardner. I don't know if you guys have gone by his house, but it's off of Northeast 2nd, used to be. or Northeast 3rd, behind the Second Presbyterian Church. It's beautiful. It's starting to look very nice. So if you haven't had a chance, go by and take a look at it. And I think he's put in a lot more money than we've given him, and he's going to. I think he said in all he's going to probably put $200,000 into that house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's all I have for the grant.
Nice. Goodness. I think you answered this question one time before. The lady with the house right behind the pizza to go. I said she got the for sale sign.
Yes.
So she's aware of that.
She is very much aware.
Yeah. I don't see it selling no time soon, but.
But it looks nice.
On the outside, anyway.
Yes, on the outside.
Man, again, I know you said, what's the on the parking lot?
On the parking lot deal.
Across from,
So they had to withdraw their grant because when they went to go do it and they got quotes, there are gas tanks underneath there.
that's right, okay.
So they would have to figure that out first.
I want to make sure, because I know there were some issues about we didn't spend the grant money. You know, there were some comments made. People were saying that we're not spending the grant money. I want to make sure something like that, so I understand we had awarded the $45,000,
Right.
but then it wasn't spent because, you know what I'm saying? So
Correct.
why aren't you spending the money for grants like you're supposed to? So I just want to make sure something like, we're not going to advertise that, but I just sort of like, I
Yes.
just want to make people understand what the money is out there and if the grant is given back.
Right. And the way we have it set up is any grant money given back goes back into grants.
Right.
Not
Okay.
back into our general operating.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And anyone else on the grants?
I know we talked about possibly setting something up in the future. Are we going to try to do anything with fire suppression grants? Well, not grants, loans.
So I'm trying to figure out how we can set it up. Yeah, what it's going to look at. But yes, I'm hoping that we'll be able to do something this year. But yeah, trying to figure out how to set it up as a loan forgiveness. It's a little more complicated.
Yeah. Chair report. No report. Anyone else have anything? Anyone report? Okay. All right. Moving on. You have anything you want to report?
I do have quite a bit. First, the farmers market. So they finally rolled out the Fresh Access Bucks program last week. Unfortunately, the weather was terrible, but in the hour that they had it up going before they closed the market, they were able to do $120 worth. So that was $120 worth of SNAP was redeemed and used, and so $120 worth of the Fresh Access Bucks were also given out to recipients, and they used that. I'm going to be going to the daycares and the churches over the next couple of weeks and letting them know. I talked to St. Madeline's and let them know, and they're sending people over when people come to get food. They're letting them know that on Thursdays they can go over and they can double their bucks over there at the market. And this Saturday, they're going to be moving locations next to the Christmas tree to see if they can get more people off of the street that way and hopefully increase it more. I haven't checked with Carol today. This would be their second day, but I think they had a better turnout than last week where they were only open an hour because of the weather. So that is going well. Music in the Park update. I gave a flyer to you guys. This is our next event, and it is February 19th, and it will be inside the old school. And if you guys haven't had a chance to come out and hear Lance Howell, he is fantastic. He is very good. So I do recommend that. And Michael is already working on Folk in the Springs, and I'm not going to give out names yet of who he's coming, but he's actually signed a Grammy-nominated artist to come and be the headliner. So I think it's going to be a fantastic show this year. He does amazing jobs. He's just very persistent at getting these guys for very little money. He just doesn't leave them alone until they say yes. I also wanted to let you guys know about the DOT update. We did get finally agreement from DOT to do the sidewalks, so now we are moving forward with that. Courtney's working on the contract for that, and I went to a DOT pre-construction meeting for the resurfacing project. They are starting February 16th, which is ahead of schedule, and they're going to run through July. So I let the businesses downtown know, the ones that are open late, they're only going to be doing it overnight. So I let the 4 businesses downtown that have a lot of nightlife know that it was coming and that we'll keep them informed as to when it's going to actually be right in front of their business. The construction company says they should only be a week on each side of the road when they finally get to the section. So it'll be about 2 weeks right there in our downtown when the parking lots are torn up. So it'll be an inconvenience, but they have to put everything back during the day, open all lanes during the day. It's only going to be at night. They're also not going to do any of construction during Pioneer Days at all. So for those 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they said they're going to get out of town. They just won't be around and close it down. And it's going to be fantastic when it's done, but it's a huge project all the way from the river to 441 and then southeast 6th to 441. So it's a big project, and they're going to be doing a lot.
Are there any residential, are the homes, if you're talking at night, are the homes going to be told that you're going to have construction going out on the street with street lights on and so forth?
We're going to be sending out a letter to everyone. I've talked to Mr. Booth's office, and everybody that lives on that street or has a business on the street will be receiving a letter. It'll go out on Monday, letting them know. They're also having a public information meeting here in High Springs, tentatively set for February 13th, but I'll let you guys know for sure, where they'll have their public information officer out and a guy from the construction crew to answer any questions, and that will be held by the Christmas tree. They're going to set up a tent right out there, and they'll be here for an afternoon.
Okay, so when you do that, once again, will the people receive something telling them about that meeting so they know?
It'll be in the letter on Monday. That's why it hasn't gone out. I'm waiting for they told me it's tentatively today, but to hold off and wait, and they'll let me know when it's definitely going to be. And we'll have it posted on our website as well. So we're working really close. Their weekly meetings are going to be held in the old school so that a city representative can be there always too. The James Paul Park project is coming along nicely. We're working with Parks and Recreation. He has an intern this semester who is putting together a master plan. He's working with Parks and Rec Board. We should have a public meeting within the next 6 weeks to get people's input on what they would like to see in the park. And he should be completed with his project by the end of April and ready to present, and he will present it to Parks and Rec Board and to the Commission. And I believe that is all I have, unless there's anything else.
Questions? There's nothing else?
I'm good.
Motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.